So I'm paying you for the time you are spending at my workplace. The unfortunate part of this is that you may not have enough time. I had said that. You cannot scale yourself because you don't have more than 24 hours a day. So in order to take more money from other people, maybe you need to have multiple jobs. After 8 hours, you go and work for another 8 hours. You work for 16 hours, and before you know it, you're only left with 8 hours of rest and maybe traveling back home. And it is very hard to scale yourself. The only way to actually saving your time is actually becoming highly skilled personnel. Like, for example, if you're a doctor, of course, most cases you're paid by the time you spend at the hospital vis-a-vis by how many patients you are treating. So we are looking at the time you are spending at the hospital. So if you want to take a lot of money from your bosses or your employers, actually you have to become more specialized. So most cases you have to go for further education. If you are a general surgeon, you have to specify either you become a neurosurgeon, you become, different kind of surgeons. So the easiest way of taking more money from your employers is actually by becoming more skilled and more efficient. In so doing, you can negotiate your salary up. So basically, chances are high that still you may not take a lot of money from such people. So that's the disadvantage. The disadvantage is you cannot scale yourself. You may not take a lot of money from your employer because you cannot spend more time at work. Remember, you have the depreciation rate of your work. Efficiency goes down as the time goes by. By the time you reach in the afternoon, you're already tired. You cannot do much. So you may not work at several places at the same time. So that is the biggest disadvantage of saving your time. And unfortunately is that chances are high that you may not develop because of saving your time. This method worked so well when we were still in industrial age, where industries had become so common and people were being specialized to work in certain parts of their industries. So they were paid by the time they spent at their working spaces. And now that we are in the 21st century, this way is actually still there, but it is as old as the industrial age came. So basically, it's when it became so popular, by the way, but that is not the best way of earning money, of taking money from other people. Why? Because you are limited by how many hours you have. And remember, you don't have more than 24 hours a day. So chances are high that you may not serve more than 10 clients a day, especially if you're a doctor. And if you're a teacher, you may not teach more than 2 schools a day, especially when you are teaching serious subjects. So chances are high that you may not grow so fast in terms of accumulating of wealth because you're spending more time, you're sending your time to your bosses. And at the end of the day, by the time you grow up, you may not have enough time. That's why you find old people suffering, still working, because they sold so much of their time and they are no longer having enough to stay with. So I think that is very key. That is the first category of people. Now, the second category of people are the people who sell products. And this is the common and the easiest way of taking money from other people. People who sell products are the people who actually dope rich people. That is the easiest way of taking other people's money. So all you need is to have enough capital. That's one. 2, all you need is to have the serious product you bring in the market, which is willing to be consumed by the people. And thirdly, you need to have the team that will help you produce the products. Sometimes you have to start alone, and then later when you start accumulating capital, then you start employing other people. Of course, there are those who always want to be employed. So when you bring them on board, then you find a way of making your products reach as many people. The good thing about this way of taking money from other people is because, why? Because you can sell your products to 10,000 people if you had the way. Unlike this one who is selling his time. You cannot serve 10,000 people in a week. You can't if you're selling your time. But you can actually sell your products to over 1,000 people in a day if you found a way, especially with the dawn of the technology. It is very easy to sell stuff on the internet. There are so many people who are selling stuff at the internet. Of course, there is Jumia, there is Gigi here in Uganda, and there are so many other platforms where people are selling stuff to different people at the same time. and it's much easier. Of course, like I'll give you an example of Mukwano companies. Mukwano sells so many products. There is soap, there is tea, and so many other stuff. So you may find that people who are buying Mukwano products are so many in a day. You find like 10,000 people in the whole country, they are buying, and this gentleman who is the proprietor of this company is taking that money in a day. So the easiest way is having a product. So if you don't have any product on the market, chances are high that you're going to stay poor. So if you want to be among us, the rich people, find a product that can easily be bought by so many people, and then find a way of making them see that you have their products and get them to buy from you. That's it. I'm telling you, that is the best way of taking money from other people. People are willing to give you their money in exchange of your soap. Yeah. So people are willing to give you their money in exchange of tea. So this is the whole aspect I'm talking about, ladies and gentlemen. Find a way of getting a product on the market. And you have, of course, there is always processes of discovering what people want. So I'm telling you, the people who take the time to produce products that are desirable by the people who are actually making a lot of money, because you produce your products once and you keep selling until you accumulate a lot of money from so many people. And part of that money you use it to produce more products, and another part you use it for your family affairs and developing yourself. So that is one of the ways I can recommend.